Hi friend, come on in. I'm making spreadable butter. We've been making spreadable butter for a while now because it's really cheap and economical to make yourself. Not only does butter straight from the fridge really tear up your bread, but I really hate leaving butter on the counter for who knows how long and it potentially going rancid. With this method, we have spreadable butter straight from the fridge, does not tear up our fresh bread, and does not require melting. If this sounds like something that you need in your life, then come on in and I'll show you how. I'm not really sure you can call this a recipe, but it's pretty easy to make. I am working with a pound of butter here that is very soft. It's not at room temperature. I did put it in the microwave and I did put it on a defrost cycle for about 20 seconds. That was just because it's kind of cold in my house right now and there's no way this butter would be spreadable or soft or workable or any of that in a reasonable amount of time. Or ever, because it's cold in the house. I put it in just enough to soften it. So this is soft. It is not melted. The whole point is you want soft butter to incorporate the oil into it. That's it. And then the butter will go back in the fridge and it will harden a little bit. So it will depend on how much oil you put in. You have to kind of play with this a little bit just to figure out what's going to work best for you. I have found that about a pound of butter with about a cup and a half of oil, it's fairly spreadable. It's easy to spread on toast, because obviously the toast will just melt it, but I can normally get it spreadable for fresh bread. Or if I just leave it out on the counter for a few minutes, it'll soften up a little bit, just enough to spread easily. I could add more oil and have it spreadable right from the fridge. I don't want to affect the flavor too much. I'm going to cream this a little bit just to make it workable. And then I'm going to start slowly drizzling in the oil. So I don't want to overwhelm the butter with the oil. So I just want to start it with a little bit and slowly start loosening it up. I also want to make sure that I'm not leaving any butter chunks because you will end up with a chunk of butter that's harder than the surrounding butter. At this point, it's really important to make sure you don't have any butter lumps when you're mixing it in. That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to soften the butter just a little bit more in the microwave, because if it had been a little too hard, it would not have, see how the oil just went in really nicely? It would not have gone in that nicely if it had not been soft. So soft butter is really important for this. Each addition, you can add slightly more oil until you get towards the last half cup of oil. You can just glug it in. Pretty much that's it. That's the whole recipe. I am using a neutral tasting vegetable oil. Use what you like. If you want to have that nice olive oil taste in your butter and you think it'll go well with whatever you're going to spread your butter on, go right ahead. If you don't want to affect the flavor of whatever you're putting your butter on, then obviously just use something that's neutral tasting. This is literally it. I like this because I save money doing this, because spreadable butter costs a lot. We buy our butter on sale. You notice how butter always goes on sale right around Christmas? Butter freezes really well. We buy like as much butter as the coupon will allow us to buy, and we stockpile it in the freezer. Anytime we see butter on sale, we stockpile it. This butter it's very old. It still tastes fine. I mean, it lasts for a long time in the freezer. And then, I buy oil for other uses, so I always have butter and oil. As you can see, I'm putting in more with each addition because it goes in easier as it becomes more liquid. This will be really runny when it's done, but it will firm up in the fridge. Okay, now this is the tricky part. If you have a lot of butter on your spatula, sometimes you'll end up with a couple of hard chunks. I need to remember to clean the spatula a little bit more often than I do. And then the rest of this can just go in and it will all be good. The other reason why I like making this is I have more control over the ingredients. If I had only unsalted butter, I could control the amount of salt I put in, so it's not as salty. If I was trying to watch my salt intake, I can control what type of oil I'm putting in. I have control over that. I am buying stuff while it's on sale, so I have more control over the price. Just a win-win all around. Plus, I don't have to like run to the store and go get it. I can, oh, I'm out of butter. I can just whip up some more. Literally, if I really wanted to, buy some cream and whip up some butter, but you know what I mean. That is pretty much it. So, like I said, if you do have some chunks, you want to sort of pay attention to those and break them down earlier in the game than what I'm doing right now. Those will be slightly harder than the surrounding butter, but it's not huge. My favorite jars to put these in are these little, they're the wide mouth jelly jars. I like them because they're not very tall and it's easier to get in and get the butter out. And I do have, if you get into canning, you probably have a canning funnel, but this is a canning funnel and it fits in canning jars really nicely and it helps make it easier to get your product in the jar and not all over the place. I will just pour this in the jars and I can show you how thick it ends up after it's been in the fridge. It does thicken up. The texture that I'm going for is what we prefer because we use it mostly on toast or bagels. My daughter likes bagels. Sometimes it fills up 4, sometimes it fills up 5. I think it just depends on how full I fill them up. Your mileage may vary. Again, some of that will depend on how much oil you put in as well. Okay, it looks like I got away with 4 this time. And I made a mess. Oh, that's just lovely. Welcome to the messy kitchen. That's what I should have called the channel. Welcome to the messy kitchen. Thank you for joining my mess today. There you go. That is spreadable butter. And like I said, I will show you how this looks when it comes out of the fridge. This is the butter straight from the fridge, and as you can see, it does spread on soft bread. We prefer our butter to be slightly more firm when it comes fresh from the fridge, but obviously if you add a little bit more oil, it will be more spreadable. It just depends on your use for the butter. We prefer to use it on toast, but I have found if it's got a little too much oil in it, it can sometimes make bread seem soggy, and so this is the perfect balance for us. I do have a recipe for sourdough, so if you're looking for a use for this spreadable butter, just let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, this ridiculously easy recipe, I almost hate to call a recipe, is easy to do, saves you money, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching.